So it's pretty standard. Okay, here's your application information, all that information. Then they go into their, their property needs. Have you owned a home during the last 3 years? Yes or no? This doesn't apply so much anymore as it used to, because during the first-time homeowner credits, you could then apply if they're doing a seller financing opportunity. So if this comes available again, and you have a property for sale, and they have not owned a property in the last 3 years, they qualify as first-time home buyers. If the government decides to give you that $8,500 again, guess who gets that $8,500? You do, because you've sold them a property on a contract. That's down payment right there. All of a sudden, guess what? My prices went up $8,500 on all my properties. Instantly. Doesn't matter what the equity is. I got $8,500. That's free money. It's down payment. Again, I still ask it. It's just not as required as much anymore. I take that back. No, it isn't. In South Carolina, we tried to get this. It just wasn't working because some counties will have first-time homebuyer programs, but you have to go through a mortgage broker to get financing. You have to go through a government-backed loan in order to get that money, unfortunately. But not with the first-time homebuyer assistance. So here's the thing I ask. What's the most you can pay monthly for a new home? How much do you currently pay? You want to find out that information. So if they say, I can only afford $800, but I'm paying $1,500, you realize, there's a bit of a gap there. So sometimes people, I ask them the question, how much are you paying right now? I'm paying $1,150. And I'm only advertising this thing for $8 something. I know if I need to, if I go from a lease option to a seller finance option, guess what? They've been making $1,150. I have a $300 a month wiggle room there to help them with that payment. So that's why I find out what they're currently paying. What's the most you can put down now? It's a good question. In your guys' cards that I gave you, your deck of cards, there's a question that I have that I ask is, what's the most you can afford now and in the future? Why do you think that would be a good question to ask somebody?
Right there, trust fund baby.
Trust fund baby?
Well, right there. You're going from a lease to owner financing.
Okay.
So if you're doing, like you were saying here, I want here, in that year's time, when that becomes mature, you can offer, hey, listen, if you can afford, if we raise it up to this, you're going to come from lease option to owner finance.
And that's correct with a monthly payment. How about with down payments? What's the most you can afford now? Or no, not now, but what's the most you can put down now and in the future when it comes to down payments? You can split it up. How about this? Trust fund babies? I'm asking in December. It's Christmas time. They're like, we only got this much down. But tax return's right around the corner. Oh, I'm getting a bonus, year-end bonus. Oh, I'm selling my car. My car's on the market. I might get another $2,500 after, or $5,500 when I sell my truck.
It's not worth that.
Huh?
It's not worth that.
Oh yeah. There you go. So you can have some negotiating room. So you never know what they have coming down the line unless you ask them. You're not going to know. So yeah, of course, maybe I'll take half now and half in the future because I know that something's coming. I've had some people say, well, I got an insurance settlement coming. Unless it's been already satisfied and the check's coming, if it's still pending lawsuit and stuff like that, I wouldn't count on that kind of stuff, guys. That's just pie in the sky. Do you have a retirement account with your current employer? 401k, 403b, IRA, other? Do you have a retirement account with a previous employer or your current employer?
With the IRA, you can't. The IRA, that's kind of tricky, though, isn't it?
No. It's a retirement account.
You can take a loan
You can take a loan
out on it.
out on it.
Yeah, but it has to be in the IRA's name.
No. That's if you're doing a self-directed IRA and you're doing as an investment, all those funds have to go right back into the IRA. But because it's money that you've invested into it, you can take a loan against it yourself. You have to repay it back, though. Actually, I take that back. For an IRA, I don't know, but for a 401k, yes.
I know the 401k.
Yeah.
The IRA, my understanding is that it has to be in the IRA's name.
Okay.
And because of
Have the IRA buy it. Have the IRA buy the asset, and then you pay rent to the IRA. You can do that. So I had a couple that he wanted to cash out his 401k. It was $42,000, and he ended up buying a house with it. And yeah, he completely cashed out his 401k. That's how we found out where his down payment was going to come from. How long have you been in your current job? Your spouse? Is your credit, what is it? Ugly, good, whatever. How'd you hear about us? When are you looking? How soon are you looking to purchase your next home? Are you a veteran? In what areas do you want your home to be in? So county, zip codes, all that stuff. Bedrooms, bathrooms. Do you want a garage? Will you refer to us who as a person? Do you have any special requirements? Are you ADA compliant? Something like that. So this is just a preliminary application. I have them send it over. If they're serious enough, it's going to come back my way. And I've had people send it over, email me, text me. Can you review it? Can you review it? Can you review it? We want this house. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Totally interested. So when you find buyers that have cash on hand and can afford your home, but it want in a different area, create a buyer's list. I told you mine's just a simple thing. It's just an Excel spreadsheet. It has their name, their phone number, their email address, how many bedrooms, how many baths, how much they have, how much they can afford, when they're looking to move, and what part of town where they're looking at. Shop for them if they have a sizable down payment. So what I mean by shop for them is go acquire a property that's roughly what they're looking for, and then call them back and say, hey, I got this property before I put it on the market. Is this something you'd be interested in? Bam, you're done. Yeah.
I'll wait till you have a break, but I want to ask about what you have on the board back behind.
This?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When do you do a lease option versus owner finance?
When they don't have enough down.
When the market has told me that no one's going to owner finance it. Yeah. So it's been on the market for a week. No one stepped up to the plate.
No one stepped up to 10 to 20%.
I got one guy that says, hey, I want this house. This is what I have. Would you be willing to work with me?
I have 3 to 5% down. I don't have 10 to 20% down.
They don't talk in these terms.
Yeah.
If, say, it's a $100,000 house, he says, look, I don't have the 10, but I have 5. Would you consider that? And let me talk to my partner, so we can work out. And then I wait a couple of days. If nothing else comes, I'm going back to that guy. I'm selling the property.
What's to stop you from doing the owner finance at 5%?
Because I can.
Cover your costs. I mean, if you can do a lease option, why can't you do it owner finance? Or why wouldn't you?
Because I want more money.
Why? It seems like the owner finance to me is a better position because they're responsible for everything, and you're not a landlord anymore.
If I can your concern is I don't want to be a landlord,
Yeah.
but you're not a landlord.
Well, you're paying for major expenses.
I have a homeowner's insurance policy for those major expenses. If a certain line breaks, this particular house, I had not owned it long enough to take out my insurance policy. But what I would have done, and it was also probably a pre-existing condition because the house had been vacant for so long. But don't be afraid to do a lease option. It's okay, because you have a homeowner's insurance policy that says, hey, guess what? You know what? Like I have a lease option where we had a storm, a hurricane in this was last year. We had a hurricane come through and it ripped part of the roof off. My insurance covered it. That's what my insurance is for. My guy's like, look, we would like to pay for this, but it's a lot of money.
Let's say it needs a new roof, and and plumbing issues, and it's an additional 10.
If it's a habitability issue, I'm going to seller finance it. Yeah.
So let's say if you do that, and then would you do that on a 5%?
It just depends. That all depends.
So my
You're
question
able to make
on
money.
the
Yeah.
preliminary application, do you ever ask how much they make from their job? Is it ever a qualifier? Like if they say I'm doing monthly payments right now of $1,200, but I make $1,400 a month.
It does come up. Well, yeah, they when on the full-on application that I have them do, yeah, for sure. They tell me how much they make, yeah. And I'm going to show you something else as well. I'm going to answer your question, Eric. I have a house in Gridley that they only put $5,000 down, and I seller financed it for them. But that's a house where you saw where the roof was coming down. Sure, dude. It's a case by case.
What's the advantage to you for doing a lease option versus owner finance?
Can anyone else answer that for him?
Not seeing the advantage of lease
If you're not able to sell it, you can take something less and get it off your chest, basically.
And you can have them build up payments towards your 10% down, so you're making more money there too.
That's right.
And
What
work
was
it
the
into
thing you said, Steve?
Well, if he's got it on the market for owner financing and it's sitting for a couple of weeks and he can't get anybody into it, the next best option is find somebody to take the lease option. It's easier to qualify.
Well, with what you're saying, what I'm saying is why not just take 5% on the owner finance in that case? Because then they're responsible for everything that happens to the property.
If that's what you want to do, do it.
Well, I'm asking. I'm here to learn.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm saying if.
So I get that you get a little bit more, maybe monthly, that goes towards a possible down.
But you're doing that from a perspective of I don't want to spend any money on this property. I don't want to be responsible for anything.
Hands off as possible.
Exactly right. So then for you, this is not an option. Just do owner finance on everything. But for guys that have no problem, getting a little bit dirty in this game and making a lot more money, a lease option.
Well, that's what I'm asking. What's the upside? 1,300 versus what would you do on an owner finance on that?
Well, they're.
Still might charge the $1,300.
No, because it was $1,000 rent. So I mean, we increased it so that they could, because this is what I was advertising it for, was for $1,000. So you're going to be locked in at 5% at $1,000.